Okay, welcome. Welcome, everyone. And thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to show you how to get noticed, earn more, and move up faster. That's why we're here today. And let's get going, okay? Now, just quickly, if you, first of all, a great big welcome. I'm filled with gratitude for your willingness to share your time with me today. Go ahead and say hi in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from. And we will be doing a Q&A at the end if you stay. So if you have any questions along the way, just drop them in the Q&A and we'll make sure that we get you an answer. My big promise to you today is you're going to discover that you don't need to work for 20, 30, or 40 years before you finally get that big reward. I'm going to show you how to collapse time to shorten the time you spend climbing that proverbial corporate ladder so that you can get noticed faster and earn more faster and move up faster without working harder, finding a new boss, or even quitting the job that you're at right now. But we're going to move fast because we only have an hour. And I promise you this, so stay for the hour because this is going to be the best hour you spent learning about how to promote your career. So today, I'm going to show you why your boss is ignoring you and your potential and how you can fix that in just 2 minutes a day. The one mistake that most people are making that keeps them from getting that next raise, and the lie that we've all been taught to believe in, why it's stopping you from getting that next promotion. And this is not your traditional career advice, like wait your turn, pay your dues, or find a mentor in your office or at work. Like that's easy to do. I'm going to set you free from the old way that you might believe right now to win at work, the one pulled from dusty old textbooks that everyone studies and then all goes to the workplace and does the same thing. And I'm going to show you a new way, one that I built in the trenches that works in the real world faster than you might even believe is possible. This is really my life's work, a proven system, the 12 laws to win at work now. And what took me 30 years to figure out, my students, better known as the builders, learn to do in just 60 days. So if you're ready, let's get started. Before we dive in, let me tell you why you would even want to listen to me. I literally worked my way up from the stockroom floor to the boardroom table as a C-suite executive, even though the system was always telling me I didn't have the right credentials. At Costco, I led the launch of the executive membership program. Maybe I sold you your card if you're a Costco member. That went to #1 in Western Canada, and I went on to lead some of the highest volume stores in the country, managing multi-million-dollar operations and thousands of people in very high pressure environments. But Costco is where I learned how to win in the trenches. Now, when I started at Costco, I was making $20,000 a year. And 20 years later, I had worked my way up to earning $85,000 a year. And honestly, I thought I'm doing really great because I didn't know that there was any different way that I could do it. It had taken me 20 years to 4x my salaries. And after 20 years, I decided, I think it's time for me to try something new. And I was betting on myself when I joined a startup power company that was turning waste energy into usable electricity, something I knew nothing about. And I even took a pay cut to $65,000 because at that point I knew I was capable of winning at work. I had already proved what was possible for me once, but this time I was going to prove that I could do it faster. And within less than 5 years, I went from $65,000 a year to $250,000 plus stock options and bonuses, from an HR manager, which is what they hired me as, to the chief administrative officer, a C-suite role, earning more than I have to tell you I ever thought was possible for me as a young girl. And instead of that 20 years, it took me less than 5 to 4x my salary. And that's really the important part. I didn't work harder, I worked different. I stopped following the old broken career advice that kept me working decades just to move inches. And now I teach those same principles in my 12 Laws to Win at Work Now program, because I believe the hardworking people who keep companies running deserve to win again. But here's the thing. People look at where I ended up and think I must have had it all figured out. But the truth is, I started with everything stacked against me, at least according to the experts. This is a picture of me at 16. I wasn't born into opportunity. I was a teen mom who dropped out of high school and got married before I was even old enough to vote. My first job paid me $1.35 an hour. I had no degree, no connections, no network, and certainly no roadmap. If you're watching this either now live or on replay, how much did your first job pay you? You know, everywhere I turned, I was always being told that I didn't have what it took. I didn't have the education, I didn't have the background, I didn't have the right skills. But I had made myself a promise as that young girl that my kids would see that it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And that promise became my fuel. It's what pushed me through every rejection, every setback, and every promotion I was told I wasn't qualified for. But here's what I learned the hard way, is that you don't need their permission to succeed. You don't need a new job or a new boss, or you just need a new rule book, because the rules you've been taught don't work anymore. And maybe they never really did. I stopped following those rules, and that's when everything changed for me. And today I'm going to show you how to do the same. Now, people will often ask me, Tammy, after everything you built in your career, why are you doing this? Why are you teaching this? Why not just stay in the boardroom? And the truth is I watched so many good, hardworking people get overlooked. Those smart, the capable, the hardworking, doing everything they were told and still getting passed over, underpaid, or ignored. And it made me mad, because I had experienced that too, to see that the same broken rule book that held me back for 20 years was still running the workplace. And that's when I decided to build the new one. That really is the foundation of my 12 laws to win at work. And these laws aren't theories. They are the exact steps that I used to collapse 20 years of trial and error into 5 years of massive growth. And this system works whether you're trying to get noticed, or you're trying to get promoted, or maybe you just simply want to stop feeling invisible at work. And that's why I'm here today, is to hand that rule book to you, because the workplace might be broken, but once you understand how to win inside it, it no longer controls you. Now, I love me some action takers. And so if you've joined us live today, we're going to drop the link for you to grab a hold of my Raise Advantage Toolkit, because I have to tell you that 99% of people actually get this wrong. They come into their raise and performance review, and they don't do it in a way that's going to get them a yes to their raise. Now, I dropped the link for you, so make sure you copy and paste it, or stick it in a browser right now, because you want to download this Raise Advantage Toolkit. It's going to be eye-opener, especially if you watch the webinar, because it's going to tie into one of the things that I'm teaching. Now, if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you the link for my Instant Confidence audio. It's a 5-minute audio that I still use for myself. Yes, I do listen to myself when I'm going into a big meeting, because that's usually when fear will take hold of us. So you've got a 1-2 punch. You're going to be able to have the skill to ask for the raise and the confidence to actually go do it, so that you don't change your mind. Okay. So let's go with number 1, why your boss is ignoring you, how to fix it in just 2 minutes a day. And let me just ask you, have you ever felt that? Have you ever felt like you're overlooked, really invisible, like your boss doesn't even see your hard work or talent? Let me know in the chat box. But before we jump into the strategy of this, we need to talk about belief. And every one of us walks into adulthood with this backpack filled with mostly false beliefs about who we are, what we're capable of, and what that right path to success looks like. Now, some of those beliefs come from adulthood and their family roles, your beliefs about money, or how you believe about daily living. Like my mom used to always say, you can't leave the house unless you brush your hair. And I still believe that and found myself saying it to my children and grandchildren. And then from school, which can be a breeding ground for false beliefs, where you learn beliefs like I'm good at math, but I'm bad at reading, or I'm shy, or I'm a troublemaker. And then there's the ones that come from the system, which are really the most dangerous because so many of us believe them that it's hard to break free from that because it goes against our human need to want to be part of the crowd, like pay your dues or wait your turn. And then there's the one about the right path. Like, what are those steps that you have to take in order to be successful? And you're judging yourself against what you believe is the right path. If you're saying, shouldn't I be farther along right by now? Shouldn't I be married? Shouldn't I be making more money? But there's this one belief that keeps almost everyone stuck, is that we've been conditioned to believe that if we talk about our success, we're bragging. That if we make ourselves visible, we're showing off. That if we stand out, that means somebody else has to shrink, or that we shouldn't do that because we might hurt someone else's feelings. So what do? We wait. We wait to be noticed. We wait for someone to finally tap us on the shoulder and say, it's your turn. When I was in Africa doing my training, they would say to me, Tammy, we don't like to talk about confidence because people will think we're too full of ourselves. Like, what are other people going to say about ourselves? And, have you ever felt uneasy about sharing your successes? Shouting your wins from the rooftop. So you can see my son here in this picture. And it was the night before one of the biggest raises of my career. And I was on the phone with my son. And he said to me at the end of this call, I was discussing my strategy for my meeting the next day. And at the end, he said, Mom, it's not that they don't value you. It's that you don't value yourself. And I was like, whoa, that hit me like a ton of bricks. Because even after everything I had achieved, the way I was measuring my value to the business was broken. And maybe this is going to sound familiar to you too. The truth is, in today's workplace, you cannot wait to be noticed. You have to make yourself noticeable. And it all starts with how you measure your own value. Everyone has what I call a value meter, and it's how we measure our worth inside the workplace. But here's the problem. For most of us, our value meter is broken. And like I said, I know because I've done thousands of performance reviews. And 99% of people will come in measuring their value with feelings instead of facts. So they say things like, I've worked so hard. I've been loyal for years. I've done everything you asked. And though that may be true, those are feelings. And the workplace, it doesn't pay for feelings. It pays for facts. Does that sound like you can follow along with that? Because it's normal for us, if our value meter is broken, to be using the feelings because we've never considered the facts of what our true value is in the workplace. So how do you fix this? You fix this by starting to measure your value in facts. And it's going to take some practice, but the very thing that you do, these 2 minutes a day that you put in to tracking and stacking your wins, is what's going to get you noticed faster. I guarantee it. Every day, I want you to write down 2 wins and tie them directly to how they impacted the business. And, remember this, that companies really only measure success in 2 ways: revenue, what they bring in, and profit, what they keep. And if you're thinking right now, but Tammy, I don't have wins every day, let alone related to revenue or profit, I hate to be the one to tell you, I'm sorry about this, but you are wrong, because it is impossible for you to go to work every day and not win. You just haven't been taught to recognize your wins or to measure them in a way that's going to get you noticed. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Let's choose admin, for example. You might be the person who takes care of the supplies, and you would go in saying, I always have that supply covered stock, so we never run out. That's a feeling. A fact is that you sourced a new vendor and you cut supply costs by 30% this month. Or you're a project manager and you say, I solve all the technical problems. They all land on my desk. That's a feeling. But a fact is that you identified a design flaw that could have cost $20,000 in rework. Or maybe you work in HR. I help employees with their concerns. But a fact is, I created a new process that cut the resolution time for employee concerns from doing it in 8 hours to doing it in 1 hour. So you'll see that this is about taking what you do every day, those tasks, and linking them to how they impact the company. And everything that happens in a company, no matter what department or what role you're in, is connected to revenue and profit. But I want to ask you this right now. Do you think that facts or feelings would get you noticed faster? Facts or feelings? Drop it in the chat, because I have to tell you that it is facts. And not only because very few people do it, so people are going to be impressed when you walk into your performance or raise review, but because this is how the person who is the CEO of their career, should be able to articulate your value. But there's another bonus to this, is that every time you do this, I promise you, do this for 7 days and then send me an email. If you do this for 7 days, I still do it every day. All of my students and clients do this. Is that you are not only retraining your boss to see you in a new way, but you are training your own self, your brain, the most powerful computer on the planet, to not only see what your real value is to the business, but you're going to believe it. Because our brain focuses on the negative, which is why it's hard for us to see our wins every day. So every day, I want you to write down your 2 wins. And this is not bragging. It's your job, because you should be in charge of your career. Now, I want you to imagine this. Just think about going in to your next review, which could be coming up because a lot of them get done at year end, with facts, not feelings, and being able to speak up in meetings with confidence, because you can now back your value with proof. But most of all, feeling the freedom of owning what you achieved without apology, because you should be shouting out your win. The world will change when each one of us is able to rise to our greatest potential. And you want to help other people have the freedom to shout their wins from the rooftops as well. This is what happens when you fix your value meter. You stop waiting to be noticed and you start making yourself noticeable on purpose. Now, I'm going to play a short clip from Shannon, one of my clients. And this, we were having an interview about the work that we had done together. And when she said to me, this is one of the most important things that I received from you, Tammy, it actually surprised me. And it really made me see the work that I was doing and that this is actually the foundation. So remember, facts, not feelings. And this is Shannon.
But also you have an ability to shift people's thinking in a way that people can believe in themselves. And that's one of the biggest gifts I think that you can get.
And it truly is. I learned that in my own life and from seeing my clients across 2 continents. When you believe in yourself, that's when your impossible becomes possible.
But also you have an ability.
Now, I want to tell you this story that I heard in a class that I was in when I was studying neuro-linguistic programming, so how your brain drives your behavior. So they told us, the facilitator told us the story of the lion and the lion tamer. So you see the lion tamer here, the small guy, the thin stick in his hand, standing in front of this massive roaring lion. And the lion tamer moves the sticks like a conductor leading an orchestra. And the lion, the huge and powerful animal, moves in perfect obedience with this stick. And the facilitator asks us, who do you think is more powerful, the lion or the lion tamer? And we all just shouted it out. We said, well, the lion, of course. And he said to us, well, then you have a puzzle, because if the lion is so powerful, why does it so obediently follow the instructions of the lion tamer? And then he said, the answer is simple. The lion doesn't know its own power. The lion doesn't know its own power. The lion believes that the lion tamer is more powerful. And that's what happens to most people in the workplace. You've been trained by a system that taught you to play small, to wait, to ask for permission, to stay in your lane. Don't brag about the good things that you do. And you have forgotten that you are the lion. And the moment you remember that, when you stop letting the system hold the stick, that's when everything changes for you. And that is the power of resetting false beliefs. Are you with me on this one? Okay. So let's go on to number 2, the one mistake that keeps you from getting a raise and how to change it so that you can earn more money. So I had joined that startup company and I was heading into probably about my 2nd month into a meeting with the CEO, and I needed to ask for some money for safety. So some safety funds. Maybe you've had to do that. I prepared, I had the data, I had the plan, I had the numbers, and I went in there and I did my ask and he shut me down fast, right? He gave me a hard no. And I left that office, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I thought, who does he think he is? Like, what does he expect me to do? Pay for it myself? Like, I need to have this money. We have to have safety out in the field. And maybe you felt that too, in that your boss doesn't even understand what you really do. Well, in the past, earlier on in my career, I would have run to my closest coworker and I would have started gossiping and complaining about my boss, saying, you're not going to believe what he just said or what he just did. But that was before I learned the new way to win at work. And it's because I had learned a valuable lesson, and that is the road to my raise always stopped at my boss's door. The road to my raise always stopped at my boss's door. Now, I want you to open up your mind for a moment, maybe suspend some beliefs, because what I had done to change this is I had stopped thinking of my boss as the problem, and I started thinking about my boss as my customer. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Tammy, you don't know my boss. They're impossible. They always take credit for my work. They micromanage everything. But trust me, I do know your boss. I've worked under them or I've managed them. I've coached over 5,000 people who've had every kind of boss you can imagine, the good, the bad, and the downright exhausting. But the one thing I have never had is a boss who got in the way of my success. And that's the important part of shifting the way you think about your boss. So now here's the difference. When you think about your boss differently, you interact with them differently. So I came out of that meeting, I regrouped, and back I went in. But this time, I didn't start with what I needed. I started with what he cared about because I was looking at him as my customer. And as a customer, I don't know about you, but we expect the businesses that we go to treat us with respect, to understand what we want, don't you? So I went in there and I led with how this was going to keep our biggest client happy, that we were protecting the contract with one of the largest oil and gas companies, and that I was showing him the results that were going to make him look good. I tied my proposal for those safety funds to those outcomes, and in minutes, I got my money. Not because he changed, but because I did. And if you're thinking, well, why should I have to do that? Because it's a lie that you're going to go to work and you're going to find a boss who's going to carve out a path to your success. Now, I'm not saying that you might be lucky enough to find one, but if you're counting on that, you could end up working 20, 30, or 40 years without achieving your goals. Now, when I learned this lesson, it hit me. I've been following the same rule book that everybody else does. Work harder, wait for your boss to give you a reward, instead of realizing the truth that I needed to do something different, that I could do something different. And remember, when you start to think of your boss as your customer, it changes how you interact with them. And that changes the results you can achieve. Because when you see your boss as your customer, you watching this, you take your power back. Your success is no longer in somebody else's hands. It is in yours. It will no longer matter, I promise you, who your boss is. A micromanager, a credit taker, quiet, loud. It doesn't matter because you stop taking it personally, because you're not just an employee anymore. You are the CEO of your career, and your boss is your customer. And the road to your next raise stops at their door. Now, okay, so you taking in what I'm saying. Hopefully you suspended some belief and you just learned a way to change how you think about your boss. And you also learned how to show your value with facts, not feelings. So 2 quick wins you can have today when you go back to work. But I know what you might be thinking. Sure, Tammy, that sounds really great. But does this work in the real world? Well, I want to show you what happens when you decide. My mom used to say, if your friend jumps off a bridge, will you jump off a bridge too? Have you ever heard something like that from one of your parents? Or if you follow the crowd, you're going to end up in the crowd. This is the problem with the workplace, is 99% of people are following the same advice and they're ending up in the 99%. And the 1% who actually achieves their highest earning potential are doing something different. So when you stop following the crowd and start using these laws, you are doing something different. So I want to tell you about Jen. She was a young graduate when she came to work for me, trained by the system, doing everything she was taught to do from those dusty old textbooks. But I had taught her how to win in the trenches, in the real world, in a way the system doesn't teach you. And a couple years after we had stopped working together, she left me this voicemail, and I want her to tell you, in her own words, the impact of using these laws, which she took with her. And this is the great thing about them. When you're learning them, you get to take them and actually put them into play in your own workplace.
5:14 p.m. Hello, Miss Sugar. I have had a worthy, wealthy month, and I am so excited to tell you about it. But in so many words, I got offered a permanent position at my client's office, and the final comp package has tripled my income compared to 4 years ago. So all of my hard work at school and all of my hard work building up a client relationship and all of the stuff and all of the things you've coached into me, I just got the final deal today, and I am like just buzzing. And on top of that, outside of this job, we've been in the process. We're closing on a new place. We're going to move in a couple of months. It's still in the same neighborhood. We're going to be welcoming new puppies into our life. I'm going to be done school in a couple of weeks. And so I've just been thinking about you all weekend and how so much of everything I do, I'm so grateful to you for. And I just have a story to add to your Worthy Women Network. And I will give you all kinds of testimonials if you need it. Because, Terry, you are the best, and I wouldn't be here without you, babe.
So I want you to imagine that in the next 3 years, you could look what that would look like to you if you stopped waiting. So stop waiting your turn like Jen did. She took what she learned and she implemented it. And she not only tripled her salary, but she landed a role that in her mind and according to the system, she shouldn't have been in for another 10 years.
9.
Okay, finally, let's talk about the biggest lie you've been sold and why it stops you from getting promoted faster. The system has told all of us that if you just work hard, my dad used to say that, Tammy, just work hard and everything will be okay. And my work ethic has served me well. But if you're working hard, just waiting for someone to notice, you're going to be waiting a long time. Get your education and master that technical skill, whether you're an HR manager, or you're an accountant, or an engineer, or a forklift driver, or a cashier. It doesn't matter that you become an expert at that technical skill and you'll automatically rise. But that's a lie, because if the education and training were all you needed to be successful, then everyone with the same education and training would be earning the same level of success, wouldn't they? And that is not how it works. Look around. I know you have. You can take 10 or 100 people in any profession, and only 1% of people, that's what statistics show, will reach their highest earning potential. And the truth is, the hard skills might get you hired, but it's the human skills that will actually get you promoted. And I'm going to take a little tour back to Jen again. Because when I hired her, she came in with her HR designation in hand, and she got her first assignment from me to go out. There was a workplace conflict between two coworkers, and it was her turn to go out there and resolve this conflict. So she came back into my office. She sat down in the chair across from me, and, her shoulders were slumped, and she said to me, Tammy, that didn't go very well. And I did everything that my textbook told me to do. And that isn't Jen's fault. The system really does set you up to fail when it comes to people skills, because you cannot solve people problems with theory out of a book. Because your textbook will not cry, it will not argue back at you or quit, but people do. And that's the difference between what the system teaches you and what it really takes to win at work. The system trains you to do tasks at work. And I'm here to teach you how to take your skill set, whatever that is, because I've worked with almost every role that there is, and win with it at work so that you can rise to your greatest potential, to be part of the 1%, to collapse time. Okay, that is really my mandate for people, because it was the biggest lesson I learned. If I went back and started my career over, I would be trying to earn as much money as fast as I can, because money is the fuel and work is the gas station. And the fuel, money, is what funds your life, your freedom, your choices. Money is not a bad word. And let's be real. If at some point someone had said to me, Tammy, we're going to keep paying you and you don't have to come to work, I would have said, woohoo, I'm going to do that. Most of us are at work because of the money, and that is normal, okay? We exchange work for fuel to fund our lives. Now, and when you learn to solve people problems, okay, because most people cannot, you become instantly more promotable, because you are solving the most common problems that every business has. And it's how I went from an HR manager to a C-suite executive in under 3 years. Not because I worked harder, but because I solved the problems that no one else could. And I hope that you can see the difference in that. Because, I didn't start in HR. I was always in operations. So I was always on the floor with my people, directly leading them, and I could see what worked and fix problems on the spot and drive results. But when I joined that startup power company, everything was really different for me, because suddenly I still had to deliver big results, but I had no direct control over the people doing the work. And I want you to hear that, because you don't need a title to be a leader and to put some of these laws into work, not just for yourself, but to actually start creating wins for people around you. I had to find a way to help them through their managers. And that's when I discovered this study by Harvard and Carnegie that said 85% of your success is driven by your soft skills or your human skills. That to me is what they are. They're your human skills, not your technical skills. Yet the system spends 95% of its time teaching us the opposite. It trains you to be a worker bee, to memorize information, to do your assigned role and wait for someone else to decide your future. That's why so many smart, capable people stay stuck, underpaid, unseen, and exhausted, because results don't come from how well you perform your job tasks, because most people will perform those job tasks at an acceptable level at least. They come from how well you navigate the workplace and the people inside of it. Now, you might be thinking, I've tried soft skills training before, Tammy, and I got inspired, and then I was going to make a change, and I went back to work, and before I knew it, I ended up right back where I started. Well, that's normal. It happens to people a lot, and that's something we teach in law number 2. But here's the difference. I'm not giving you soft skills. I am giving you human skills. I'm giving you a system that I learned and developed over 40 years, because soft skills teach theory. Human skills give you the exact thoughts, the words, and the actions to use with people in real situations. I hate it when they tell leaders, oh, just be kind or be respectful. What does that mean? Because it means something different to every single person, because we all see the world through our own set of unique binoculars. But this is why the 12 laws work. It's not theory, or it's not inspiration, even though it is inspiring. It's a system that you can implement easily into the real world, because I built it in the trenches, and I have proven it and tested it across 2 continents. Okay, so the secret to becoming promotable, companies pay me $10,000 a day to come in and train their teams, and they don't pay me because I go in there and make their people work harder. They pay me $10,000 a day because I teach their people how to solve the most common problems in the workplace. And I can tell you what they are, because I've worked with hundreds of companies doing pre-assessments, and I already know exactly what the problems are before I get there. Getting stuff done, people being accountable. There's bad meetings and bad leadership and team fighting. or department wars and communication breakdowns, gossip and conflict. And the secret to being promotable, because most people can't solve these problems, which is why they run rampant in companies, is to be the person that can solve these problems. And when you learn how to solve these problems, not only are you going to become more promotable, but you are doing something that will give you the skill of influence where people are going to want to support you. Because I'm not just teaching you how to use these laws for you to win, but it's also going to help the people around you win. And when you do that, people want to support you because we all want to win. We might not say it out loud or shout it, but we all want to have that feeling of success every day. And when you know how to navigate people and politics inside a broken workplace, the stuff that everybody else just complains about, you instantly become promotable. And that's what the 12 laws to win at work now teach you. They're the exact words, the tools, and the methods that I use to become that go-to problem solver in any industry. So, I mean, I was in Ghana, Africa, in large organizations and used them there. They're not random lessons. They're built to make change simple. And I'm about results. That's how I managed to build my career, is delivering. And this is how you collapse time. That's how Jen got that role, because she was showing something completely different: how to do meetings, how to communicate in a way where it's everyday things you're doing anyways, but Jen was giving them the skills to do it and win at it. Well, after I left my corporate career, I made it my mission to go and help people win at work. And these same 12 laws have become the foundation of everything I teach across hundreds of organizations, large and small, from Canada to Africa. Because what I discovered is these laws don't just help individuals win, they solve people problems every organization faces. And one of my favorite examples comes from Ghana, where I trained the leadership team of the National Service Scheme, an organization that supports over 100,000 young people every year. And the executive director wanted to transform how they serve the next generation of young Ghanaians, shifting from simply deploying people to actually deploying for employment so that they could find lasting employment when they were done their service. But to make this happen, he needed to shift his leadership team and the way that they were thinking. And this is what he said after I spent 2 days with his team.
Well, what is different about the training that I've attended, and as was attested by the participants, is that we've been having stereotyping type of programs. Any programs that you attend, you can quickly recollect that I was trained along this line, and it's re-echoing here. But this one, I wonder why within the shortest time you've been able to brace up with all the challenges that the scheme is facing, and you have translated it into a teaching model, and you have used that one to teach us. So I can say that this one was first of its kind, that you've been able to change the thinking of my directors within 2 days.
And what you just heard from Osei isn't just a story from Ghana. It's proof that when people master these 12 laws, results change everywhere. Because every one of the 12 laws was carefully built to teach you the real people skills that get you noticed, earn you more, and move you up faster, no matter where you work or what title you hold. And it wasn't just me or Jen or Shannon or Paulina who finally landed a role that she wouldn't apply because she didn't think she had enough of the qualifications. But it was Terry who discovered the truth about common sense and how it changed the productivity of his team. And Lydia and Sonia and Darius. It was Osei who applied the same framework to transform an entire national organization and impact 100,000 young people in Ghana. Different industries, different roles, and different countries, but they all produce the same results because the 12 laws to win at work are not theory. They are how people can actually win at work. And these are my builders, people who took the workplace back on their own terms because they took charge of their success. Now, I want to go back to the beginning and the promise that I made you, that I wanted to show you how to collapse time, to get noticed, to earn more, and to move up faster. And I hope that you've seen some of how that can happen for you. Now, I can't show you all of the 12 laws. These are just small pieces pulled from the first 3 laws in an hour. But tell me, I want you to think about this. If you even applied one of the tools that you learned here today, do you think it would help you win faster? You've learned how to make yourself noticeable. That alone, I'm telling you, will totally change your ability to get a raise when you're valuing yourself and articulating it with facts, not feelings. You discovered how to think differently about your boss. You want to not have to worry about having a bad boss again? This is what you do. You think about your boss as your customer. And I promise you, the most important skills you can learn is these people skills that are part of the everyday things we have to do, because a business doesn't run without people. And all problems in a business are people problems, and not because the people are a problem, but because it's people running the business. And, you have learned that you can do this faster with Jen, where she tripled her salary in less than 3 years. And Paulina landed the role she thought was out of reach. And Osei transformed his organization. And now it's your turn. Can you see this? And like everything else, it always comes down to, I like to say, the fork in the road. I keep this quote on my desk about the only thing worse than failure is being in the same place a year from now and wishing you had gotten started. When I was 36, I heard 3 words that changed my life forever. I was sitting across from my doctor after being diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. And I asked him, am I going to die? And he said, I don't know. I don't know. And in that moment, I wasn't filled with fear like I thought I would be. I was filled with regret, an overwhelming sense of regret. And it wasn't for all the mistakes that I had spent decades beating myself up for. I don't know if you do that too, but the mistakes I believed I had made, which were actually gifts that came in bad wrapping paper. It was regret for all the dreams that I didn't go after because I thought, oh, I'll do it later. But really, it wasn't even that. It was because I didn't believe that I had the capability to achieve those dreams. They were the ones I didn't even whisper about or tell anyone because I didn't think they were possible for me. So I made myself a promise in that moment that if I lived, first of all, when I faced, because we all will, the end of my life again, I would never have that feeling of regret again. And to do that I would not let fear or self-doubt block me from going after the things that I wanted. And in that moment, when I look back, I know the seeds of the 12 laws to win at work were planted there because it made me brave enough to go and take action where before I would have waited. And now you're standing at your own fork in the road. You can keep doing it alone, waiting to be noticed and hoping that maybe next year it'll finally be different. Or you can collapse time with me. And in weeks, not years, walk into work in charge of your future. You'll know exactly what you want, whether it's a raise or promotion or simply the peace of earning whatever the funds are that are going to help you live life on your terms. Because when you have the skills, the right skills to decide your direction, you stop waiting for permission and you start building. That's why we're the builders, your future on your terms. Because the only thing worse than being stuck where you are right now is being in the exact same place next year, wishing you had started already. So the real question is, which path do you want to take? And I just want to ask you, if it's okay, I would just like to share with you the exact system that I created from that promise that I made to myself that is already helping thousands of people across 2 continents. I spent years studying NLP and human behavior. And I combine that with a quote that I've lived by, and it really has been a playbook for my career, from Booker T. Washington. Excellence is to do the common thing in an uncommon way. I took the most common workplace actions when I was that HR manager, trying to find a way to succeed, even though I no longer had direct contact with the people. Things like meetings, communication, leadership, teamwork, getting stuff done, the things that you and I and every other person at work do every day, no matter what your job is. Because meetings don't just happen in boardrooms. If you work and you're interacting with other people and you're talking about work, you're having a meeting. And I built systems that turn those activities into tools for you to win. So you're just going to do the things you're doing anyways, but you're going to do them in a different way. And that's what pulls you from the 99% into the 1%. Because here's the truth. You don't need to do more, because if you're here, you're one of my hard workers and you're already working hard enough. You just need to know how to use what you already do to get noticed, earn more, move up faster. And that is the 12 laws to win at work. Now, you can see it there. I've just distilled everything that I've learned over the last 40 years. And as Osei said, I translated into a teaching model. But this isn't a course or a program. It's the foundation of my life's work. It's exactly how I help hardworking people like you win at work. And honestly, in life, because I know what's possible for you. I never could see beyond to what was really possible for me. This proven on-demand system that's helped thousands of people collapse time and earn more faster, all without working harder, having to find that new boss, or even quitting your job. You win where you are. And the secret, it's not luck. It starts with the foundation of what you learned today, what you believe, what you think, and what you do differently. So this is why you're not going to hear this career advice or training anywhere else, because it is not pulled from a textbook. It is pulled from the trenches of 40 years of work experience. You are no longer following the crowd. That's what pulls you out of the 99% who are stuck there, not at their highest earning potential, and into the 1% of people who always wins. And that's what we say. Builders, I am a builder, and builders always win. And these theories are not from a textbook. Again, I'm telling you, they are from trenches. They are tested across industries. They are tested across roles and countries and teams, and every single one is psychology based. It's helping you work with yourself as a human being, but it's giving you the skill to do the things you're doing at work anyways in a new way that's going to help you win, and more importantly, help people around you win, which is going to give you influence, one of the most important business skills you can have. And, as an NLP practitioner, I designed each law to reset and rewire what you believe about work, how you think about it, and what you actually do there. Because a lot of what you believe about work doesn't work for you. And I want to give you a new way to win at work so you can solve real workplace problems and finally win inside the same broken system that holds most people back. Jen and Osei and myself, from individuals to entire nations, all prove one thing. When you master the people problems, you master winning. So I get paid $10,000 a day, and I deserve it because I create big transformation, teaching people how to solve people problems. And maybe you have already spent from $5,000 to $100,000 at a college or a university, or getting an HR designation or an accounting designation. a lot of money on a degree. And the truth is that money only bought you the 15% that gets you in the door, the technical skill. The 12 laws is the other 85%, the human skills that allow you to take that technical skill and actually make money with it. And money is the fuel that funds your life. And, you know, even my corporate clients will pay $19.97 for a license to these seats. But today, we are launching our program online, and this program is only $997. And the truth is, a lot of my clients find that their companies will pay for this because over 90% of employers say they are looking for people with soft skills. And we normally sell this program, Digital On Demand, for $19.97. I'm going to actually just drop the link here into the chat right now. And the thing about the 12 laws is invest where your success is really going to be created. Now, you can click the link, you can scan one of the QR codes, but it's not just the course that you're going to get. Now, for the first 5 people who register, I am giving a very valuable bonus, and that is 2 private calls with me. I no longer offer private coaching publicly because my focus, we are on a mission as a business to build our community to 100,000 builders, because I know that how we're going to make changes to the world that I want to leave for my grandchildren and their children, is that when each one of us can rise to our greatest potential, that's where real change will come from. And so I'm opening up my calendar for 5 calls. I'm going to be honest with you, this is our second masterclass that we've ran, and I did 10 last time and they went fast. I can only do 5 this time. But here's what's going to happen. Together, in our first call, we're going to figure out exactly what's holding you back, which I can do by asking you 3 questions. That's the benefit of my experience. And then we're going to build a roadmap specifically for you to get to where you want to go. And my clients say, Tammy, you saw in 10 minutes what I haven't been able to see in 10 years. And that's because this is my superpower, helping you see what's been invisible, because I have been invisible. And I only have one goal, and that's to get you results as fast as possible. I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to come to your own conclusions. I'm going to use every ounce of my expertise to make you successful. Now, this bonus alone pays for the cost of the program. So if you're ready to work with me privately, you can click that link. Not only do you get the on-demand program, but those 2 calls, but that's not it, because I'm on a mission to build my community. So I want to make this offer a no-brainer. I also do an onboarding session that I do for companies, and it's they pay me $1,500 for the 90 minutes. And in this, I'm going to install what I call the builder habits. And this is what makes your success automatic. And you're going to walk away with unshakable belief in your value, just like Shannon said, unstoppable confidence to move from fear to action, because I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that, and a personalized daily action system that's going to build transformation every day. This is what I'm told, and I know what happens. I see people come in with doubt and fear and not sure, and they leave and they're ready to go and take action, because you need that foundation, so you will take the action. It's your secret weapon to win at work and life. So you're getting the on-demand program. If you're one of the first 5 people, it's the 2 calls. Plus, you're getting this onboarding breakthrough session. And you know, there was a study by a professor that said like 95% of your results can come from the people that you associate with. So 8 weeks of membership in my inner circle, where you can share your wins and challenges. You can connect with people just like you, because success doesn't happen in isolation. So you're getting that as well. The builder's resource vault. Now, this is really important. It's a $500 value, but what it is it's all the templates that you can take with you. You can brand them with your own logos and everything like that. And it's how you implement the time management, the engaged leadership, how to do meetings. So if you're already a leader, this is going to be like good for you. But if you're not, you can still use this. So I'm leaving no room for you to fail with this. I'm giving you everything you need to win. And I know what you do because of all the times that I have put people through this program and tested it. I know what it takes for you to actually go out into the workplace, any workplace, and get this done. So it's the on-demand program. It is the 2 private calls if you're one of the first 5 people. It's the community. It's the resource vaults. It's the onboarding breakthrough session. But this is the big enchilada as far as I'm concerned. You're going to be working with me for the 8 weeks personally. I told you companies pay me $10,000 a day to teach this stuff, and private clients invest $5,000 or more, and I'm not doing private clients anymore. Now, this offer of working with me personally is time limited because I'm doing this as we launch this program because I want to be hands-on and make sure you get the best results so that as I'm certifying my Win at Work coaches and they take over, that they also have the best chance of being successful. And they're going to be good, make no bones about it, because I've trained them. But there's nothing like working with someone who's been where you are, who has walked a mile in your shoes, and someone who has proven what it takes to actually win at work. That girl, that teenage mom, no high school diploma even, who worked her way up from the stockroom floor to the boardroom table. And it won't always be available, especially at this level of investment for $997 Canadian. So if you're watching from the US, that's even a bigger bonus for you. Because once I have went in there, because I was in operations for most of my career, so I'm about creating processes that make sure that you win, because that's my only goal, is that you get results. I've never worked with a client who hasn't made progress. And so once the Win at Work coaches take over, then I'm not going to have that direct involvement in it. But I'm going to be in the coaching. I'm going to be doing the onboarding session. I'm going to be in the community answering your questions. So whatever it is that you need, I'm the one you're going to be talking to. So let's just quickly go through what that looks like. You're getting the 12 laws to, and listen, just this alone for $997 would be worthwhile because the program itself is excellent. The inner circle community, so that you're not alone. And if you get stuck, you have a place to go to get answers from me. The onboarding breakthrough session, trust me, this is where it shifts. There's no better gift that I ever gave myself than finally, after that conversation I had with my son, believing in my own full worth. The resource vault, so that you can implement everything easily. And the 8 weeks of coaching directly with me. And if you're one of the first 5 people, those 2 private sessions, which are a big bonus, because then we're working specifically with you. And this is over $14,000 in real value. Because listen, I know like you could get $1 an hour raise and pay for this $997, but you're going to get more than that because you're going to have a different approach to work. You are going to see work in a different way, and you are going to behave differently while you're there. And it's not going to rely on other people. You don't have to wait for other people to let you do something, because you're going to do it within what you have to do at work anyways. And this is the big secret to why people are successful. Now, also, you know, the link is in the chat box. You can scan this QR code if you want to be one of the first 5 people. But I know after 40 years that when you use these laws, you will win. And it's not luck. It's a repeatable system that I built. That's what I was always good at, was building systems for people to win. And so the builder's guarantee is you do the 12 laws. So you go through the program. You use the tools, and if you don't see a measurable shift in how you show up, how you're seen, or how you're being paid, I will help you fix it personally. So that even if it's the Win at Work coaches, I will help you fix that personally, because I have never worked with a builder that didn't walk away with results. You've seen it with Shannon and Jen and Osei, and now I want you to know that it can be your turn, because I know how to do this. And you're worth that. You are worth that. And just, the only thing more expensive than investing that $997, because it is an investment, though I would encourage you to go back to your employers, because most of them qualify for the professional stipends or any kind of professional development that you might have. The worst thing than not investing is waiting. Let's get real. You already have proven to yourself that you're willing to work hard, but hard work doesn't buy raises or promotions. Work is not the enemy. It's not the enemy. We all have to work. Work is the gas station, and money is the fuel. The money funds the life that you want to live. This is so important. Money is not bad. Money is not evil. It is the fuel that funds our life and our freedom and our future. And we should look at work as the gas station where we go get that fuel, and we would want to make as much. I'm not here to tell you what your dream is. That's why you decide how much fuel you need, and then we go after that. But you should want to do it as fast as possible, because it shouldn't take 40 years to win at work. Every month you wait, you lose opportunities, confidence, and income you could already be earning. And so the real question, it really isn't, can I afford it? It's, what is waiting costing you? I've shown you the proof. People from every industry, every country, every story, they stopped waiting. They took action, and in weeks, not years, everything changed for them. And this is your window. And once it closes, then it's gone. Those 5 spots remain open until they're gone. When I start certifying new coaches, then the access won't be directly with me. So if you're ready to collapse time, to earn more faster, and finally, for the hard-working people, because this is my mission, to take that workplace back again, there's only one thing worse than being stuck, feeling stuck where you are right now, and that is being in the exact same place next year, wishing, oh, I should have listened to Tammy and gotten started today. Because what I do know is that I can help you win at work. And it's going to be in a way that you haven't been shown before. And that's why people are so successful with it. Okay, now, action takers, thank you so much for sticking in here till the end. I love me some action takers, because it's the one thing that I can't do for you. And so when you take action, it really, I'm very proud of you. So I'm going to drop the link for my instant confidence audio. And I promise you that in 5 minutes, it's going to help you just simply have that moment where you can overcome the fear. Have you ever had that feeling where you want to do something, but the fear is holding you back? Well, this is going to help you move past that. And it's going to help you do it simply. Now, the link to purchase the program, $997 Canadian, is in the chat box. It's also on the screen. And if you're here, I would take advantage of this opportunity. If you have any questions, you can actually even just drop it in the chat box, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. What are you thinking about what you've heard in the master class today? And, it's a chance to go first, drop something in the chat. I always say confidence is not something, people always say, but Tammy, when I get confidence, then I'm going to, just fill in the blank with your dream. But the truth is you don't wait for confidence. You actually practice confidence. So do you have a question, or do you want to tell me what your role is? And I can give you some examples of how to measure with facts instead of feelings. Well, you have me on this line. That's one of the most common things I hear from people is, I wish that I had a mentor. And you have one sitting here waiting to answer your questions. And I know one of the things that people will say is one of the hardest things is doing that facts versus feelings, because it becomes, it's like a habit that, and I did it too. I used to say I'm the first one in, the last one out. I remember we did an office move once, and I spent all weekend with the movers. I was in the middle of downtown, standing out on a busy street, blocking the parking so the moving truck would come. And then I would feel like resentful because no one ever seemed to notice the hard work that I did. It wasn't reflected in the money that I was earning. And I always looked outside of myself, when in reality, what I've learned is it was me. I had to take back my own power and learn how to make myself noticeable, right? Instead of waiting for someone else to notice me. Because when you do that, then your success can take a very long time. So if you're on the fence and you're thinking about it, what I can assure you is, especially doing it now so you can be one of the first 5 people, after that first call, all I can tell you is I know exactly what you're going to be saying is, thank God I made this investment, because you are going to have a whole different perspective about who you really are, because who you truly are is powerful, powerful. But we don't get taught how to tap into that part of ourselves, because everything is so focused on the technical skills, which are necessary. If you're an accountant, you need to know how to do that. If you're in HR, you need to know like rules and regulations. But the reality, those are all things we memorize and repeat. They are not what actually gives us success. It's our ability to navigate policy, people, and politics. Now, listen, in every single workplace that I go in, there's a problem. Either people have broken up into cliques. Sometimes it's sort of like we've carried over from high school, some of the tactics that we use there. And we are taught to react to people in a certain way in the workplace that doesn't serve us to win. And I want to teach you a new way to win, and I want you to do it fast as possible, because life goes by very quickly. And we all have more ability than we may believe. I was working with a new client who joined me last time that I was on the MasterClass, and we had an onboarding breakthrough session, and then we had our very first session. She qualified for one of the 10 private calls, the people that got private calls. And after the first session, at the end, she said, I have never looked at work like this before. Like, I've never thought about it this way. I've never heard anyone tell me. I've been in all kinds of roles, like in HR, in Costco. I was in over 20 years. I was in receiving and front end and merchandising and sales audit and inventory audit, membership. And I've worked with different roles across 2 continents, here and in Africa, in communications, in administration, in finance, in project management, out in the field. I've built safety programs. So I am very familiar with the workplace, and that gives me a benefit because I'm able to help people quickly come up with solutions. And when you're that solution provider, that allows you to be successful. Now, I'm giving you one last chance while you're here. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me? Because I'm here and I really would want you to ask me. Or do you have any feedback about the masterclass? What did you think? Was it what you expected? You know, you've stayed with me till the end, so you must have taken, what would be your biggest takeaway, do you think? I always like to know that. That's what I miss about being in doing my events live, where the people are right in front of me, because then it's a lot easier to get interaction and engagement. And I always like to know, like, what's your biggest takeaway? It's one of the things that I ask at the end of my sessions all the time is like, what's your biggest takeaway? Because it helps me be a better teacher when I understand the impact that I'm able to offer people. Okay, let's see what we got here. Yes, I love that. I'm glad that you're taking that away, relying more on the facts rather than the feelings. You know, that's a really big takeaway. Good for you. Because we don't, I mean, the feelings are true. I'm not saying that they're not true, because they certainly are. But the feelings are not how business is measured. But we're not taught to actually value our worth to a business with facts. And so when you first start doing it, it can even kind of feel a little bit hard. That's why I say, you know, you might even think, oh, I don't even have wins every day, Tammy. But I promise you, you do. If you think about the tasks you do, whatever that task is, if you're sitting at reception and you're welcoming people in, or you're an engineer, it doesn't matter what role you're in. You wouldn't be in the business if they didn't need the role, right? To think about it in a way is, how does it impact the business? So revenue or profit. And if that seems a little hard, then even sometimes think, how does what I do help the team, help my boss achieve their goals, which means the department? And write it down. Write down your 2 wins every day. So good for you. Thank you. And congratulations for dropping that in there. I'm really proud of you, because, you know, it's hard to be a person who drops the first comment in there. And I know that, which is why I'm so dedicated to being the one who is running the master classes and being part of the coaching, because I really want to make sure that I'm able to somehow give the same experience that I do when I'm with people live. Because I know that if I get you over that hump and get you into the program, that I can definitely help you win at work. So you write this down as your win for today. I took action, because action trumps everything, I'm telling you. And it really is the one thing that I can't do for people. And I sometimes wish I could. I wish I could jump in and just get you to take the action. So if you want to join me, please, you've got the link there. Copy and paste it. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. You can hit reply to any of the emails. You can email me at tammy@winatworknow.ca. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Tammy Sugar, Sherger. That's how my last name is spelled. All you have to do is put my name in there and you'll find me on LinkedIn. Send me a message on LinkedIn, or at least let's connect on there for sure if you're on LinkedIn. And I just want to say thank you very much. If there's nothing else that I can help you with, I just want to say thank you very much for sticking with me to the end. And I hope you will join me in the program, because I do know that I can help you win at work. Now go out there and measure your day with facts instead of feelings. Look at your boss. Oh, you're more than welcome. Look at your boss as your customer, and remember, it's the people skills that are going to get you promoted faster. Thank you very much, and have a super amazing day. Bye, everyone.